We are going to explore 6 fascinating facts regarding human behavior uniformity in this video. Conformity. Our capacity to function as a cohesive team and rely on one another to use our unique abilities to compensate for one another's shortcomings, and vice versa, is what makes us thrive. But we frequently fail to see how exceptional our capacity for conformity is. How remarkable. Stanley Milgram conducted a well-known study that showed compliance may occur in life or death circumstances. Participants were instructed to use varying voltages, one of which was lethal, to shock another individual. The individual administering the charge was unaware that the person being shocked was merely acting. 60% of them would comply with an authority figure's orders to shock the participant until they administered the lethal jolt. When asked a question in a classroom, students tended to agree with their peers, even if the response went against their personal experiences. According to another well-known experiment, known as the Ash conformity experiment, they accomplished this by asking each pupil which of the lines on the board was longer. Actors and one participant would circulate the room, giving blatantly incorrect replies. Regarding the real participant, every actor student provided the incorrect response. Most of the time, they would respond with the same response as their classmates who were wrong. Have you ever succumbed to confirmation bias and followed the herd? Confirmation bias. We prefer to believe we are right. It's satisfying to bring out a fact that supports your position while attempting to debate with someone. But it's possible that you're not really seeing everything here. Simply put, psychology defines confirmation bias as people's propensity to favor information that supports their pre-existing opinions or theories. This indicates that people are more likely to seek information to support their claims than to locate evidence to the contrary. In contrast to reading about those who disagree with their viewpoint, you can discover that during a political conversation, they tend to acquire their knowledge from those who share their opinions. Everybody has been there. Shorter is preferable. Shorter is preferable. Have you ever wondered why narrower columns are used in publications like newspapers? You may believe it's because it will speed up your reading. Numerous individuals concur with you, according to typography research published by McDyson in 2004. But that's not right. According to the same study, this really slows down how quickly you read. However, the majority of people concur that reading narrow columns is preferable. Why is this a click-focus article? This is probably because narrower columns make your material appear bite-sized, which makes it easier to traverse, according to a web development and design business. What is the magic number if you work as a web designer? ClickFocus recommends a line length of 40 to 100 characters. Remember that the readability will increase with the number of characters. Cups of coffee. We want you to try this experiment, coffee mugs. Stop the video and sketch a coffee cup interpretation. Now you're finished. Does it have a similar appearance? Palmer, Rush, and Chase, two scholars, concentrated on what is known as the canonical perspective. They discovered that when participants were asked to sketch a coffee cup or any other little object, they drew it as though it were being seen on a countertop. According to a Medium.com post, this specific viewpoint provides the most visual information. This slightly higher position gives you the best view of the object's depth, form, and shape. They discovered this with additional items as well. As it turns out, we want to provide our audience with as much information as possible, and our work will reflect that. Traditional conditioning, traditional conditioning. It's highly probable that you have used classical conditioning if you have ever trained a pet. This idea focuses on employing tiny cues to either promote or inhibit behavior. When teaching a dog to shake their paw, for instance, you'll probably reward them with a treat each time they perform the action correctly. Before long, they will be ready to shake your hand whenever you approach the sweets. Although shaking your hand doesn't technically result in a reward, they know that they will do so if they want one, because you gave them one for doing so. In this sense, humans and dogs are similar in that we employ classical conditioning in a variety of contexts, though occasionally it occurs in an unexpected way. An example is provided by a very well-minded article. They clarify that if you didn't pay much attention to dogs and then suddenly was bitten by one, and then later became terrified of them, that would be an example of a conditioned response. Because you connect dogs with that memories, you would experience terror whenever you saw one. We are the result of our surroundings. We are the result of our surroundings. What comes to mind when you imagine yourself incarcerated? This may seem like a strange question. It's likely that you envision a frightening setting where all authority is in charge. But why? Are inmates merely motivated by a certain personality to carry out their duties? After all, a lot of us would find it awkward to have so much authority over others. The notorious Stanford prison experiment sought to clarify this. In order to prevent those who might be more violent from participating, they gathered a group of participants and surveyed them. They then divided the participants into groups of guards and inmates. The guards were then instructed to take all necessary steps to keep their mock jail in order. In the end, there were a lot of similarities between this simulation and reality. They discovered that a large number of the guards frequently harassed and mistreated their detainees until they were submissive, abusing their power. Despite the controversy surrounding the experiment, the results indicate that the occurrences were situational rather than intrinsic. In other words, people behaved to maintain order and in harmony with their surroundings. You might discover that your behavior differs from your beliefs if you were placed in this circumstance. Despite our need to believe that we are unique, we are stuck with the same nature as everyone else in many aspects. You might be able to conceive of several ways that these points appear in your life. Tell us about them in the comments section. I appreciate you listening. Kindly like the video and forward it to someone you believe may be interested. To stay up to date with our content, don't forget to subscribe to Site to Go. Be careful.